The games you've played, the games you want to play, and the games you should avoid at all costs. We've got the info you need right here. You've just entered the lab.
The Phantom is trying to disappear.
Today we take you to Bikini Bottom and some other places in Toontown. Plus, it's back to World War II. Don't worry, it's not that bad. I'm not sure what target audience THQ is going for this one, but Nicktoons Attack of the Toybots seems really on balance. Okay, where do I start? Alright, let me start by saying it's been a really long time since I've sat down with a platform game, and maybe if I'd put a little more thought into it, I'd have picked up something else. Now when you think Nicktoons, you think SpongeBob, Jimmy Neutron, Timmy Turner, and so on, right? Yes, and when you think of those characters, you immediately think kids, really young kids. Because even though a lot of grown-ups watch these cartoons, the majority of the Nicktoons audience are kids. But this is where the problem starts with this game. The unbalanced and, for lack of a better word, unreasonable gameplay. I say unreasonable because I can't come up with a reason that would justify this game's overall presentation. So let me break it down for you. First, the graphics. The graphics in this game are bad. Let me start with the character models. In the cutscenes, you're presented with some really ugly visuals that do these Nicktoons no justice. And apart from the creepy looking character models, the stages don't look good either. The graphics in this game look like something from the PS1 generation. The characters are really small and there's very little in the way of detail in the stages. They look really dated even for a Wii game. As a matter of fact, forget that it's on the Wii because the Wii holds its own. The Wii is not as powerful as the 360 and the PS3, but it's still a little powerhouse in its own way. So Attack of the Toybots being on this console is no excuse for the poor visuals. So basically, in a nutshell, the graphics in this game suck.
Is this thing on?
Let's move on to the audio, another letdown. First observation, the voice acting. I don't know if the same talent that's used for the voices in the cartoons were used here, but if they were, they did a poor job because it's kinda funny, the characters almost sound right, but for some reason they seem a bit off. Something just isn't right.
Patrick, no!
And then there are the repetitive one-liners. There are two things wrong with them. First, as previously stated, they're repetitive. Sometimes you'll hear two different characters using the same lines, and they just keep using these handful of lame lines over and over. And the second thing that's wrong about these lines is, well, they're not funny. They're not funny at all. Now when you think Nicktoons, especially Patrick and SpongeBob, you think funny one-liners. But basically, nothing any of the characters say throughout the game is even remotely funny.
Here's your shoe, little boy.
It's like I'll be playing the game, I'll hear them saying stuff, and be thinking to myself, why bother?
I'm like a freedom fighter. A big, pink freedom fighter with pants.
I doubt that the actual writers for these shows were involved at all, and believe me, they should be. There is an art to comedy. It's not just mindless nonsense. Making people laugh is harder than you might think. And the other elements that make up for the audio are very bland. Nothing like what I would expect from a game based off some of my favorite cartoon characters.
I used to be the elastic waistband. You better watch yourself.
The music was hardly noticeable and the sound effects were just there to not make the game seem like a Charlie Chaplin movie. We move on to the gameplay. This makes no sense either. Question: was this game made for hardcore platform gamers or for 5-year-old kids? Now, THQ should have asked themselves this question before going into production on this title, because like I said in the beginning, the game is very unbalanced. When you look at the overall visual presentation, you'd think, okay, maybe this game was made for the tots. The little ones who don't really care about flashy visuals. The kids whose only concern is seeing and controlling their favorite Nicktoon. But there you go, the game looks that way but plays another. Even though the controls for the most part are really basic, you press down on the directional pad to punch or kick or use whatever weapon you started out with. You also have goo, which you use as your projectiles, and then there's a rolling attack, and of course you can jump and whatnot. But the gameplay could not have been designed for a 5-year-old, because even though I haven't played a platform in a while, I'm not that rusty. And I'll tell you, you have to be really sharp and patient in order to survive these stages. If you're not a seasoned gamer who can navigate through some of the most insane obstacles in gaming history, you have no business playing this game. This game can get pretty difficult. Now, I'm not saying there aren't some extremely gifted 5 and 6-year-olds out there who could do these things, but I haven't met any of them. This game can get a bit hardcore where the difficulty is concerned. So again, I ask the question, who was this game made for? Anybody who says this game is easy must be working with the forgiving continue feature, which puts you back almost exactly where you died. But even with this respawn system, the game is still irritating, and if you're not patient and diligent, you'll turn this game off permanently. Another weak gameplay factor is a complete disregard for the Wii's unique abilities. I saw no option that allowed me to utilize the Wii's controls. I was just pressing buttons, no swinging, nothing. So what was the point of having it on the Wii? And why then not have an option to use the classic or GameCube controls? Then there's the repetitive nature of the game. It's the same limited moves, and to top it off, the stages seem to last forever. The only time long stages and repetitive characters can be tolerated is in a case where gameplay delivers quality. This is not the case here. There is no quality anywhere to be found, trust me. Then there's the multiplayer or lack thereof. You can only play multiplayer in a specific game mode. You can't play multiplayer in the regular story mode. Again, what's the point? When playing by yourself, there's always another character with you who is also pretty much useless. This sidekick does absolutely nothing but take up space. So why not allow a second player to take control? Apparently this was too much to ask. Are there any redeeming factors to this game? Well, not really. If you're able to see past all its flaws, and if you're a fan of the Nicktoons, then maybe you could try and play it through, because while playing it, I found it extremely rewarding to actually make it through one of these obstacle courses. To maintain your cool and finish a game like this makes you feel like a truly great gamer with the patience and tolerance of a monk. This doesn't say much for the game though.
Phew! Glad we made it through that.
And if you're a fan of the shows, this might fill you with even more disgust than the average gamer just looking for some platforming action. Because then the whole authenticity thing becomes an issue. You'll realize that this game does the cartoons no justice, and then end up asking yourself, why am I playing this game? Why don't I just go watch some Nickelodeon instead?
Welcome back inside the biggest genius's soundproof diary closet.
Even the story in this game is a whack. Even for a cartoon-based game, the story is like an episode of one of your favorite shows that would be considered your least favorite episode. Come on, Fairy Fart giving life to toys? Come on.
Krabby Patties, berries, and ghost energy.
Anyway, Nicktoons Attack of the Toybots is one of those titles that should have spent an extra year or so in production. The developers clearly didn't put much thought into this one, but we did. We thought long and hard before coming up with a suitable score for Nicktoons Attack of the Toybots, and here it is, a 2 out of 10. Great job, guys. Great job.
It's time for heroes to Run! Run like crazy!
Stick around, gamers, the show gets better with a review of Medal of Honor Heroes 2 for the Wii.